Welcome to the Pocket MBA, your essential guide to navigating the complexities of modern business leadership. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a topic that isn't just a fleeting trend, but, well, a fundamental non-negotiable shift shaping the most successful organizations globally. We're talking about the profound evolution of the leader, moving decisively from a traditional commander to a dynamic coach and teacher.
That's absolutely right. We're living in an era of relentless disruption where the old management playbook simply doesn't cut it anymore. What we're seeing, and what we'll unpack today, is why managers can no longer afford to be the sole source of all answers. It's just not feasible. Instead, their crucial role is transforming into that of expert facilitators, igniting growth, sparking innovation, and fostering deep commitment within their teams.
And that commitment piece is key, isn't it? Our mission for you, our listener, in this session is to provide a truly comprehensive understanding. We've drawn meticulously from cutting-edge research and impactful real-world examples published in the Harvard Business Review. We're going to explore powerful, practical models for effective coaching, expose the surprisingly human reasons even the smartest people inadvertently resist learning.
Those defensive routines we all fall into sometimes.
Exactly. And then equip you with actionable, proven strategies to cultivate a truly effective coaching and learning culture right within your own organization. So get ready to fundamentally rethink what it truly means to lead. So let's really lean into this monumental shift, shall we? For decades, the career ladder seemed quite straightforward. You cultivated deep technical or functional expertise, didn't you? Became the undeniable authority in your field.
Right, the go-to person.
Precisely. As you ascended into management, your primary role was to impart that knowledge, teaching subordinates how to faithfully reproduce past successes.
Standard operating procedure.
Leadership was largely a matter of command and control. A manager's duty was to direct tasks, evaluate performance against established benchmarks, and ensure processes were followed.
And in stable, predictable environments where challenges were known and solutions were, well-trodden, this model was incredibly effective. It worked.
It did. It assumed managers always knew precisely what needed to be done and, crucially, how to do it.
And this is precisely where the modern reality veers so dramatically from that historical paradigm. It's just a different world now. We are now firmly embedded in an era characterized by rapid, constant, and disruptive change. Just think about it for a moment. What delivered success last year or even last quarter might very well be obsolete tomorrow. It's that fast.
And he really is.
This means, quite emphatically, that managers simply don't and can't have all the right answers anymore. The sheer pace of change, the complexity of global markets, the speed of technological evolution, it's all outstripped any single individual's capacity to be the sole fount of knowledge.
No single person can keep up.
Exactly. This new landscape doesn't just ask for, it demands unparalleled adaptability from organizations. The only viable path to thriving is to consciously move away from those traditional command and control practices and instead embrace a model where managers are primarily there to give support and guidance rather than instructions. It's a facilitator role.
Support and guidance, that's the core of it.
Yes. The profound goal here is to empower employees to learn how to adapt to constantly changing environments, and in doing so, to unleash a potent force of fresh energy, innovation, and commitment.
Energy, innovation, commitment, the trifecta, really.
It is, and this isn't a minor adjustment or a subtle tweak. It represents a dramatic and fundamental shift in the very essence of leadership itself.
That's such a crucial point, and it's vital to clarify, isn't it, that when we talk about this shift, we're not solely referring to, say, bringing in expensive external consultants for executive coaching.
Right, though that can be helpful sometimes.
Of course. But the heart of this transformation is about embedding coaching as an organizational capacity. It's bigger than individual interventions. It's an ongoing practice that is executed by those inside the organization. Daily work, almost.
Right. The vision, as laid out in the research, is for coaching to become work that all managers should engage in with all their people all the time.
All managers, all people, all the time. That's ambitious.
It is, but it's about deeply integrating coaching into the very fabric, the DNA, of an organization's culture. It's seen as a skill absolutely essential for good managers at all levels to develop and deploy, moving the organizational mission forward through a pervasive and truly dynamic learning culture. #tag 1.2 fast free. The profound benefits of embracing a coaching and teaching style. And what's truly remarkable is that this commitment to a coaching and teaching style delivers, well, profound benefits far beyond just keeping pace with change. Sir John Whitmore, a pioneering figure in the field of coaching, he famously defines skilled coaching as unlocking people's potential to maximize their own performance.
Unlocking potential. I like that framing.
It's insightful because it cleverly encompasses both critical aspects of the leader's role. Yes, it involves the leader directly imparting knowledge when appropriate.
Sometimes you do just need to tell someone something.
Exactly. But, and just as importantly, it's about helping others to discover insights for themselves through adept questioning and facilitative guidance.
Uh-huh. So it's not just telling, it's guiding discovery.
Precisely. The most effective leaders, the true masters of this craft, artfully blend both approaches. They instinctively know when to guide directly and when to skillfully prompt self-discovery.
What's truly fascinating, and where the real power of this approach comes into focus, is that when leaders truly excel at this one-on-one teaching and coaching, they don't merely build competence or compliance within their teams, which, let's be honest, is often the goal of more traditional management.
Right, just getting the job done.
Instead, they cultivate something far more powerful, far more sustainable, mastery of skills and independence of thought and action.
Mastery and independence, that's a whole different level.
It is. This is a significant leap beyond conventional development practices, which often rely on things like formal performance reviews or, generic career advice.
Which can feel quite impersonal.
Very. This personalized, hands-on instruction creates a much more profound, enduring, and ultimately self-sustaining impact. It's about empowering individuals to truly own their development trajectory.
And the tangible benefits, surprisingly, extend to significantly improving day-to-day relationships and overall employee engagement. Even what might seem like small coaching moments can have a remarkably disproportionate effect.
Little things make a big difference.
They really do. Consider the experiment at Sandoz, a large pharmaceutical company. They intentionally redesigned their one-on-one meetings. What they found was quite striking. When managers were specifically instructed to hand control the conversation to their employees, actively encouraging them to express what was important to them and where they felt they needed support.
So, clipping the script on the usual one-on-one.
Exactly. The results were incredible. Compared to a control group, teams who experienced this employee-led approach reported a 12% increase in feelings of psychological safety.
12%, that's significant. Feeling safe to speak up.
Huge. A 15% increase in viewing their managers as role models.
Wow. Building trust and respect.
And a significant 21% increase in positive perceptions of their career development.
21%. That really shows the impact on growth.
These aren't just soft metrics. They highlight the concrete, measurable impact on both individual well-being and professional growth, all stemming from a seemingly minor, yet strategically profound change in an existing interaction.
It underscores how much untapped potential lies within our current meeting structures, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It really does. The ultimate resounding takeaway from all this research is abundantly clear, isn't it? When leaders wholeheartedly embrace and embody the role of a teacher and truly become adept coaches, they don't just achieve tactical wins.
No, it's much bigger than that.
They actually build loyalty, turbocharge your team's development, and drive superior business performance.
Loyalty, development, performance, the whole package.
This isn't an optional extra, something you do if you have spare time or resources.
Definitely not.
The message resonating throughout all the sources we've explored is unequivocal. Teaching is not merely an extra for good managers. It's an integral responsibility. If you're not teaching, you're not really leading.
Strong words, but the evidence backs it up.
So this begs the question for you, our listener. How does this leader as coach or leader as teacher actually operate in practice? What do they do?
That's a critical question, and it's one that Bill George and Zach Clayton have addressed head-on with a fantastic, memorable framework, the COACH acronym.
Coach, I like acronyms. They help things stick.
They do. It offers a holistic and practical way to conceptualize this shift, moving leaders from being merely capable managers to becoming great coaches of people. It provides a kind of roadmap for this new leadership paradigm.
All right, let's break down each letter then, because each one represents a crucial dimension of this coaching philosophy. The C in Coach H stands for care.
Care. Seems simple, but it's deep.
It is. Today's workforce, perhaps more than ever before, genuinely expects a deeper, more personal connection with their leaders.
Yeah, the old boundaries are blurring.
They are. Employees, quite rightly, won't fully engage their full selves, mind, body, and spirit until they believe their leader cares about them.
You have to feel seen as a whole person.
Exactly. This demands a level of access, openness, and depth that once was taboo in many corporate cultures. It's no longer sufficient to care only about the team's overall performance or the bottom line. Leaders must demonstrate genuine care for each individual's well-being, their personal growth, and their professional life.
A powerful example of this comes from Marilyn Carlson Nelson when she was CEO of Carlson Companies. She fundamentally transformed her company's culture by personally demonstrating how much she cared for her employees. And she astutely noted, satisfied employees create satisfied customers. Her insight was that true, authentic service begins internally with how you treat your own people.
Treat your people well, and they'll treat your customers well. Makes perfect sense.
Moving to the O, we have organize.
Organize. What does that entail in a coaching context?
A coaching leader's second vital task is to develop a profound understanding of their team members' strengths and weaknesses and their motivations and desires.
So really knowing your people.
Deeply. This isn't just an exercise for performance reviews. This deep understanding is absolutely crucial for organizing the teams so that everyone is operating in their sweet spot.
Ah, the sweet spot. Tell me more about that.
This sweet spot is that magical zone where an individual's unique strengths and deepest passions perfectly align with the business's needs. When people are operating in this zone, they are not only productive, but also inspired, energized, fulfilled, and passionate about their jobs.
Inspired, energized, fulfilled, passionate. Who wouldn't want that?
Exactly. And this isn't a passive process conducted from an ivory tower. It requires leaders to be present, to engage directly with team members, truly observing them in action. Even observing them in the marketplace, as the research puts it, to understand how their strengths intersect with customer needs.
So getting out of the office, seeing people work.
Yes. And to ensure this isn't just anecdotal, combining these direct interactions with real-time data collection through employee surveys helps verify those observations and inform smart decisions. Decisions to build empowered, well-organized teams that strategically tap into everyone's best.
Makes sense. Data plus observation. Okay, the A stands for align.
Align. And this particular task is often cited as the most challenging of all.
Really, why is alignment so tough?
Well, many employees, even high performers, struggle to genuinely connect their own personal sense of purpose and daily efforts with what can sometimes feel like very lofty, enterprise-wide goals or abstract values.
Right, the big corporate mission statement can feel disconnected from my Tuesday morning emails.
Precisely. It can feel like a bridge too far for many. The leader's crucial role here is to bring those statements to life and make the company's purpose and values relatable to every employee's work.
Making it real for everyone.
Exactly. A powerful illustration comes from Jim Whitehurst, the former CEO of Red Hat, the open source software company. He successfully rallied employees behind its open source mission and its zeal for transparency. He articulated this philosophy plainly, stating, if people just work for a paycheck, they won't go the extra mile, but if they believe in a purpose that transcends profit, they will give all they have.
That's the transformative power of authentic alignment, finding that deeper why.
Absolutely. Next up, the second C in coach, and this one is all about challenge.
Challenge. Okay, this sounds interesting. Doesn't coaching mean being supportive and nice?
Well, yes, but it's not just about being nice. This is where we really push the boundaries, and it's often a counterintuitive point for leaders. Just as top athletes and world-class leaders actively seek out coaches who will push them beyond their perceived limits.
They want the tough coach, right?
They do. Employees and younger leaders today are not looking to be coddled or given easy answers. On the contrary, they want to be challenged.
Interesting. So people actually want to be pushed.
Yes, towards growth. The leader as coach, therefore, must be comfortable stretching people, pushing them outside their comfort zone towards significant personal and professional growth.
Getting comfortable with making people slightly uncomfortable for their own good.
In a supportive way, yes. This means providing honest and constructive feedback, establishing high-performance standards, using measurable goals to track progress, and conducting reality-based, results-focused operating reviews.
High standards, honest feedback, real results.
Former Amgen CEO Kevin Scherer is a great example of this. He insisted his leadership team provide honest, direct feedback and set truly high, measurable standards to develop the next generation of leaders. It's about summoning and indeed forging people's absolute best.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. And finally, the H in Coach H is for help.
Help.
This seems like another significant departure from the old command and control model.
It really is. In that old model, executives would typically delegate tasks and then simply judge by outcomes, often from a distance.
Managed by spreadsheet, almost.
Sometimes, yes. Today, leaders are seen much more as colleagues who personally engage with employees right there in their workplace. They don't just delegate and disappear, they roll up their sleeves, metaphorically speaking, and genuinely help team members think through options and solve difficult problems.
Being a thinking partner, not just a boss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This also means actively participating in award ceremonies or sales meetings to recognize people for their accomplishments, ensuring their efforts are seen and appreciated. Being visible.
Showing up for the celebrations, too.
Absolutely. A truly wonderful illustration of this hands-on supportive leadership comes from Roy Vagelos, the former CEO of Merck. He made it a practice to regularly eat in the company cafeteria, genuinely asking people about their work and the challenges they faced.
Just chatting in the cafeteria.
Yes, and he would often follow up with concrete ideas or connections to help them solve their problems. It's about being truly present and actively supportive rather than just evaluative.
That's a great image of leadership, being accessible and helpful.
What makes the COAS framework particularly compelling is that its very creators, Bill George and Zach Clayton, themselves share their own leadership evolution.
Ah, so they practice what they preach.
They do. It demonstrates that this isn't just theory. Bill George, for example, transformed Medtronic not just through strategic vision, but by developing that deep sense of care we talked about and implementing major organization changes specifically designed to align people effectively, which directly led to resounding business success.
So the care and organize and align parts really paid off.
Hugely. Zach Clayton, on the other hand, as a young CEO of 3 ships, learned from a 360-degree assessment that he needed a fundamental shift in his own perspective. He realized his yardstick of success was too focused on individual achievement, and he needed to redefine it around team achievement after seeing he was inadvertently setting unattainable individual standards.
Ouch. Learning the hard way, perhaps, but crucial learning.
Very. These personal journeys underscore a vital truth. Adopting a coaching leadership style is not a fixed destination you arrive at, but rather a continuous, often challenging evolution, even for those at the pinnacle of leadership.
Absolutely, it's a journey for everyone. Now, expanding on this vital idea of the leader as a coach, there's some fascinating research that delves even deeper into the leader as a teacher.
The teaching aspect.
Yes, this work highlights that world-class leaders fundamentally distinguish themselves through ongoing, intensive one-on-one tutoring of their direct reports.
Ongoing and intensive, not just a quick chat.
Exactly. This isn't generic training. It's highly personalized instruction that, far from simply building competence or compliance, actually fosters something much more profound: mastery of skills and independence of thought and action.
Back to mastery and independence again. Seems to be a recurring theme.
It is. This level of development, the research argues, is absolutely crucial for building truly high-performing, resilient teams that can navigate complex challenges autonomously.
And what do these exceptional leaders teach? Is it just technical stuff?
That's a great question. The research identifies 3 incredibly rich buckets of unforgettable lessons that they consistently impart. First, and perhaps most foundational, is professionalism.
Professionalism. Okay, what falls into that?
These are invaluable lessons on how to operate not just competently, but with genuine integrity and significant impact within the business world. For instance, Bill Sanders, a visionary real estate CEO, taught his protégés not just the mechanics of the market, but how to communicate a vision, and crucially, how to look at the industry not as it is, but as it could become, a truly transformative mindset.
Wow, that's big picture thinking.
It is. KV Kamath from ICECI Bank famously showed his teams how to mentor subordinates in an appropriate and constructive manner, emphasizing the human element of leadership.
Teaching how to teach, almost.
Exactly. Norman Brinker, a legend in the fast casual dining industry, underscored the paramount importance of credibility and genuinely caring for both guests and employees. Credibility and care. Foundational. And in a powerful display of ethical leadership, Tommy Frist Jr., CEO of HCA, reportedly lectured doctors on the need to put patients first, even declaring his readiness to shut down hospitals if business managers ever encouraged actions contrary to a doctor's sacred oath.
That sends a powerful message about values.
Doesn't it just? These aren't just corporate policies. They're deep ethical and operational principles, forged in experience.
That's powerful stuff. What's the second bucket?
Then there's the second bucket, points of craft or technical knowledge.
So the nuts and bolts are still important.
Very much so. You might logically assume that senior leaders, particularly at the highest levels, would delegate the granular details of the business.
Right, you'd think they're too busy for that.
But the research reveals that the best leaders immerse themselves in these specifics, training their people in their highly disciplined approaches, which are often rooted in extensive, hard-won knowledge and deep experience.
Interesting. So they stay close to the details.
They do. Julian Robertson, the legendary hedge fund CEO, for example, knew so much about so many different companies that an average person's head would spin. A true master of detail, which he then shared.
That level of knowledge must have been incredible.
Fashion icon Ralph Lauren didn't just design. He painstakingly explained how to achieve authenticity and integrity in fashion, whether for a 24/8 t-shirt or a $6,000 crocodile skirt.
Attention to detail across the board.
Larry Ellison of Oracle was renowned for constantly sharing his profound technical knowledge of software architecture. And Jim Sinegal, co-founder of Costco, fondly recalled how his former boss, Sol Price of Price Club, tested every day and would be certain to show us how to do it himself if something wasn't done properly.
Wow. Rolling up his sleeves and showing how it's done.
Exactly. This hands-on, deeply informed teaching, even at the highest echelons, is incredibly impactful and builds a formidable foundation of expertise.
Okay, professionalism, points of craft. What's the third bucket?
And finally, perhaps the most unexpected and impactful category, broader life lessons.
Life lessons from
Yeah.
your boss.
Yes. Exceptional leaders, those teachers, don't confine their instruction to work-specific topics or technical skills. They proffer deeper wisdom about life itself, lessons which direct reports consistently find extremely valuable.
That's fascinating. Like, what kind of lessons?
Tommy Frist Jr., for instance, shared his daily discipline practice of refining near-term goals, intermediate-term goals, and long-term goals, an exercise he strongly felt more people should adopt for clarity and purpose.
A practical life skill, really.
Exactly. Perhaps even more profoundly, Mike Gamson, a LinkedIn SVP, recounted a 2-hour discussion with CEO Jeff Weiner about Buddhist principles, Buddhist principles at work. Weiner helped Gamson differentiate empathy, which risks emotional entanglement and can deplete a leader, from compassion, which allows you to remain calm and clear-headed to assist effectively.
Empathy versus compassion. That's a subtle but important distinction for leaders.
It fundamentally changed Gamson's leadership philosophy, demonstrating the immense power of integrating personal wisdom into professional development. These are the lessons that resonate far beyond the immediate task, shaping individuals as much as their careers.
Wow. So it's about the whole person, not just the employee.
Precisely. It's truly remarkable how wide-ranging these lessons can be. What's equally fascinating is when these great leaders choose to teach.
Right. It's not just scheduled training sessions, I imagine.
Not at all. They don't simply wait for formal reviews. They proactively seize and, crucially, create opportunities. Firstly, they teach on the job.
In the flow of work.
Exactly. Great leaders intrinsically understand that lessons could come at any time. They foster accessible environments, whether through open-door policies or by simply circulating among their staff, making themselves available for those spontaneous, teachable moments.
Being present and available.
Jim Sinegal noted that Sol Price, his former boss, spent day and night teaching on everything from intricate retail tactics to overarching management philosophies.
Day and night. That's dedication to teaching.
Chase Coleman III observed that Julian Robertson was out to teach you a lesson in nearly every interaction, turning daily tasks into learning opportunities. And a particularly powerful example comes from Jeff Campbell, who recalled a boss telling him, the next time you're going to tell someone to do something, try to give him the objective and leave it up to him to figure out how to do it. You'll find out how smart he is or isn't.
Ooh, that's a great coaching tip right there. Empowering, but also revealing.
Isn't it just? That's a lesson that sticks because it's immediately actionable and directly relevant to current work.
And sometimes they go a step further, deliberately creating manufactured moments.
Manufactured moments, like setting up specific learning scenarios.
Exactly. These leaders don't just wait for the perfect opening. They actively create teaching moments by taking protégés out of the office environment to more relaxed settings or unusual places.
Getting away from the desk.
Right. Tommy Frist Jr., for example, an avid pilot, sometimes invited people up in his plane, creating a unique, memorable context for discussion.
A meeting at 10,000 feet. That's memorable.
Gene Roberts, the executive editor of the Philadelphia Inquirer, would treat direct reports to dinner, offering little hints and insights that one employee vividly called the best seminar they ever attended.
Learning over dinner. Relaxed but impactful.
KV Kamath, the ICICI executive, frequently used car rides home to discuss not just business philosophy, but also personal spirituality, deepening the bond and imparting broader wisdom.
Using commute time effectively.
And famed chef Rene Redzepi of the Noma restaurant takes this to an extreme. He relocates his entire staff to cities like London, Tokyo, Sydney, and Tulum for weeks or even months.
The whole staff. Wow,
The explicit goal to learn by exploring a different place and meeting new people, and then apply those learnings and fresh perspectives back home in Denmark.
Immersive learning on a grand scale.
These deliberate, often unconventional experiences embed lessons deeply and uniquely.
It's not just what they teach or when they teach, but how these leaders deliver their lessons that truly makes them stick, isn't it?
Absolutely. The delivery matters enormously.
One incredibly powerful technique is customizing instruction.
Tailoring it to the individual.
Precisely. Great leaders instinctively recognize that each subordinate should be taught in a way that suits his or her particular needs, personality, and developmental trajectory. This isn't a one-size-fits-all approach.
Makes sense. Different people learn differently.
Craigslist founder Treg Newmark, for instance, received targeted advice from his IBM boss: don't correct people when it matters little, after what he admitted was a know-it-all incident. Specific feedback for a specific behavior.
Gentle but direct.
Another senior manager recalled Bill Sanders privately, yet firmly, chastising him for using "you guys" in an important meeting, making it clear that his communication could have been even better. Subtle, but important correction.
Addressing the small things that can make a difference.
Julian Robertson was a true master of this, able to tailor his approach based on what he thought would be most effective for each person, sometimes offering gentle encouragement, and at other times deliberately making them feel less comfortable to push them towards growth.
Knowing when to push and when to nurture, that's an art.
It truly is. This individualized, nuanced approach is profoundly effective because it meets the learner exactly where they are.
Secondly, and this aligns beautifully with the coaching mindset we discussed, they excel at asking questions.
The Socratic method in leadership.
Exactly. Inspired by Socrates, great leaders teach not by dictating answers, but by asking sharp, relevant questions, often deepening their own learning in the process.
So the leader learns too.
Often, yes. Tommy Frist Jr. was always asking probing questions to find out what was happening, not primarily to judge or interrogate, but truly to educate himself about the situation and the person's perspective.
Curiosity driving the questions.
Restaurateur Norman Brinker constantly asked, "What do you think about this? What do you think about that?" And importantly, he pushed his people to do the same regarding employees and guest feedback, building a questioning culture.
Getting everyone to think critically.
This isn't about having all the answers yourself. It's about guiding others to discover their own insights, and in doing so, fostering deeper understanding, critical thinking, and ultimately, self-reliance.
And perhaps the simplest, yet in many ways the most powerful tactic these leaders employ is modeling.
Leading by example.
Quite simply, yes.
Yeah.
David Swenson, the legendary chief investment officer of the Yale Investments Office, was renowned for assuring ambitious new hires that he would not only help them develop, but also actively support them in moving on to new jobs when they were ready.
That sounds counterintuitive for retention, doesn't it? Help them leave.
It does, but it built immense loyalty and attraction. People wanted to work for someone who genuinely supported their long-term growth, even if it meant leaving Yale. So it became a talent magnet.
Exactly. It was a strategy Andrew Golden learned directly from Swenson and now practices himself, seeing it as an incredibly powerful recruiting tool.
Paying it forward.
And a direct report of Tommy Frist Jr. learned to be a lot more adventurous just by being around Frist, noting, "You learned as much from watching Tommy as you did from him telling you."
Learning through osmosis, almost.
Seeing the right example in action, observing how a true leader navigates challenges and interacts with the world can profoundly influence behavior and embed new approaches far more effectively than any lecture or formal training session ever could.
It's an unspoken curriculum that shapes future leaders.
So we've just explored what truly effective coaching and teaching looks like, the ideal, the profound impact it can have.
The gold standard.
Right. But as we know, the ideal often bumps up against reality, and that's exactly what we frequently observe when companies try to implement these powerful ideas. Despite the clear benefits companies have for years invested extensive resources in building coaching capability. We're talking about time-intensive training programs and expensive new technologies.
Throwing money and time at it.
Exactly. Yet many organizations report little change in manager behavior or improved manager-employee relations. It's a significant and, frankly, frustrating challenge for many leaders.
All that investment and not much changes. That must be disheartening.
It really is. It's almost a catch-22 for managers. They're already grappling with escalating levels of workload and burnout, struggling to keep all the plates spinning.
Just trying to keep their heads above water.
And then they're simultaneously asked to adopt this more patient, facilitative leadership style. It feels like a huge ask, and quite understandably, time constraints are very frequently cited as the primary barrier to effective coaching.
I just don't have time for this.
That's the common refrain, and in an attempt to find a shortcut, some organizations are even exploring artificial intelligence.
AI coaching. The next big thing.
Well, they hope AI tools can either automate routine tasks to free managers for coaching, or perhaps even delegate real-time guidance and employee support directly to AI coaching tools. While these developments warrant serious evaluation, the sources also caution that they can easily become hyped and critically distracting from simpler, often more effective human-centric solutions.
Right. Don't let the shiny new tech distract from the core human interaction.
And that's exactly where behavioral scientists step in, offering a simpler, cheaper, and more effective approach.
Simpler, cheaper, more effective. Sounds good to me.
Their insight is profound. Instead of extensive new training or complex technology, we should encourage managers to transform interactions that they're already having with their employees into coaching moments.
Okay, so leverage what's already happening.
Precisely. The true beauty of this approach, which they term everyday coaching, is that it happens seamlessly within the routine flow of work. Think your regular one-on-ones, weekly team meetings, project reviews.
The stuff we do anyway.
Exactly. It also occurs naturally within the existing performance infrastructure of an organization, encompassing goal setting, feedback conversations, performance reviews, and even reward discussions. The core idea is to equip managers with the tools to design just-in-time guidance, subtle nudges, and timely motivation that can fundamentally change the nature of the relationship that they have with their teams.
Just-in-time coaching, woven into the fabric of work.
Yes, ultimately producing meaningful benefits without adding new, burdensome processes. It's about optimizing what's already there.
This concept of everyday coaching truly shines when we look at real-world experiments. Let's start with goal setting at AstraZeneca.
Okay.
The problem they faced was a common one. Annual goal setting often feels incredibly transactional and disempowering for employees.
Yeah, like checking a box for HR.
Exactly. It frequently devolves into merely translating top-down company goals into individual KPIs, completely missing the crucial opportunity for personal aspiration and genuine buy-in.
So how did they tackle it?
The intervention AstraZeneca implemented was clever. They linked their annual goal-setting process, which naturally occurs in January, with what behavioral scientists call the fresh start effect.
The New Year's resolution effect, basically.
Pretty much. That psychological phenomena where people are more inclined towards aspirational behaviors after temporal landmarks like a new year, a new week, or a birthday. A senior leader created a short video delivered in a friendly, peer-to-peer tone, explicitly encouraging personal reflection and framing success not just at the organizational level, but equally at the individual and team levels.
So connecting personal aspiration to the process.
Precisely. The results were quite telling and highlight the power of this subtle intervention. This video was embedded in regular communications and was randomly allocated to 5,000 employees.
Okay, big sample size.
What they found was that those who interacted with the message were significantly more likely to enter goals into the HR system and, crucially, describe their goals in greater detail.
So more engagement and more thoughtful goals.
Yes. Weeks later, anonymized survey data further revealed that this Fresh Start group was significantly more likely to agree that leaders at AstraZeneca cared about their personal aspirations.
Wow. So that small video shifted perceptions about leadership caring.
It did. It's a powerful illustration of how a small, well-designed coaching moment strategically placed within an existing process can profoundly improve both concrete actions like goal setting and the more intangible yet vital elements of relationships and engagement.
That's a fantastic example of a small tweak yielding big results.
Isn't it? Then there's the even more in-depth experiment with one-on-ones at Sandoz.
Right, the one-on-ones, they take up so much time.
They do. As we all know, these meetings consume significant time and energy across any organization, but they are often woefully underutilized as a vehicle for culture change, frequently devolving into mere task updates or status reports.
The dreaded status update meeting.
Sandoz, in collaboration with LMU Munich and INSAID, reimagined these one-on-ones, rigorously testing two distinct coaching style approaches against a control group across an astonishing 1,000 teams.
1,000 teams? That's serious research. What were the approaches?
The first approach asked managers to fundamentally hand control of the conversation to their employees, actively encouraging them to express what was important to them and where they felt they needed support.
Employee-led one-on-ones. Interesting.
The second approach focused managers on simplifying employees' lives by discussing how to remove barriers, distractions, and blocks to their most valuable contributions.
Okay, focus on unblocking them.
What's truly fascinating here is that the employee-led conversation approach, that first one, yielded the most wide-reaching and profoundly positive impacts.
The one where the employee took the lead?
Yes. Compared to the control group, these teams reported a remarkable 12% increase in feelings of psychological safety.
There's psychological safety again. So important.
They also saw a 15% increase in viewing their managers as role models.
Building that respect and trust.
And perhaps most significantly for individual growth, there was a 21% increase in positive perceptions of their career development.
Huge gains across the board just from changing who leads the conversation.
Exactly. This wasn't the result of a new, time-intensive program or a brand new technology. It was a coaching-informed redesign of an interaction that was already taking place.
Rethinking an existing touch point, it truly underscores how much impact can be generated by focusing on the quality and ownership of existing interactions.
And finally, let's look at performance conversations at Vodafone.
Ah, the performance review. Often dreaded.
Indeed. These are inherently high-priority moments in any organization, often met with a degree of trepidation by both managers and employees, but they are also prime opportunities for growth and development.
If handled well.
Precisely. Vodafone aimed to move beyond mere compliance and foster genuinely productive feedback conversations oriented squarely toward employee and organizational growth. Their experiment sought to answer two crucial questions. Firstly, how should the conversation be framed? Is the primary goal about individual goals or about improving Vodafone's overall performance?
Framing. Individual versus company focused.
Okay. And secondly, what style works best? A direct style that is blunt but clear, or a softer and less direct coaching style?
Style. Direct versus coaching. Got it.
Over 3,000 managers were randomly allocated to one of 5 groups, covering all 4 combinations of framing and style, plus a control group.
So what did they find? What's the magic combination?
The headline finding from Vodafone's experiment was incredibly insightful and provides clear guidance for you, our listener. The most positive outcomes were consistently observed in the group that first focused on individual goals and then followed up with a coaching style of feedback.
Okay, so individual goal framing plus coaching style delivery.
That was the sweet spot. Managers in this specific group were 22.8% more likely to record feedback in Vodafone's HR system, showing tangible behavioral change.
They actually followed through more.
And their employees were significantly more likely to feel accountable for achieving their goals.
Greater accountability. That's a huge win.
This research powerfully reinforces that the framing of the conversation, combined with a coaching style of delivery, is paramount. It's not just what you say, but how you position it and how you deliver it. Hashtag tag tag trace tag 3.4. 3 fundamental ideas underpinning everyday coaching.
So what does this wealth of insight mean for you in practice? This concept of everyday coaching is built on 3 fundamental, actionable ideas.
Okay, let's crystallize them.
Firstly, rather than investing heavily in expensive new training programs, leaders should focus on making the most of the everyday interactions and experiences that will define their relationship with their teams. Basically, do everything you can to make those moments better. It's about maximizing your existing touch points.
Optimize the interactions you already have. Makes sense. What's second?
Secondly, if you want to see tangible improvements in those crucial everyday moments, the most impactful first step is to start by adopting a coaching style of leadership.
Just start doing it.
Yes. The numerous experiments we've just discussed have consistently and powerfully demonstrated the positive effects of this approach, whether in informal hallway conversations or formal review settings, and for managers at every single level of the organization.
Okay, adopt the style. And the third idea.
And finally, it's vital to understand that everyday coaching is not an off-the-shelf answer that you can simply plug and play.
No magic bullet.
No. It's truly a model of behavior change that must be adapted to your culture and needs. This iterative process means designing thoughtful interventions, carefully hypothesizing their potential impact, and then carefully evaluating our impact to learn and refine.
So experiment, learn, adapt. Continuous improvement for coaching itself.
Exactly. It's an experimental, agile approach, ensuring that coaching remains relevant and effective for your unique organizational context.
Now, you might be thinking, all this sounds incredibly logical and beneficial in theory. Makes perfect sense on paper.
Right. Seems like a no-brainer.
So why do even highly intelligent, incredibly competent, and well-intentioned people sometimes struggle so profoundly with truly learning, adapting, and embracing these changes?
Nah, the million-dollar question. Why the resistance?
This brings us to a truly counterintuitive and frankly startling insight that Chris Argyris, a giant in organizational behavior, called the learning dilemma.
The learning dilemma.
His core argument is that many companies fundamentally misunderstand what learning is and how to bring it about. And here's the truly surprising truth.
Race ourselves.
Those members of the organization that many assume to be the best at learning are, in fact, not very good at it.
Wait, the best learners aren't good at learning. How does that work?
He's specifically referring to well-educated, high-powered, high-commitment professionals, the stars, basically.
The high achievers.
Yeah.
They're the ones who struggle. That is a paradox.
It's incredibly provocative, isn't it? Argyris points to a primary mistake. Companies overwhelmingly focus on problem solving, which is about identifying and correcting errors in the external environment.
Fixing things out there, which is important, obviously.
Of course, absolutely crucial for any business to function. But Argyris argues that for learning to persist truly deeply, managers and employees must also look inward.
Look in the mirror.
Exactly. They need to reflect critically on their own behavior, identify the ways they often inadvertently contribute to the organization's problems, and then change how they act.
Owning their part in the problem. That's harder.
Much harder. This critical distinction is elegantly captured by the concepts of single-loop and double-loop learning.
Single loop and double loop. Can you break those down?
Sure. Imagine single-loop learning like a simple thermostat. It automatically turns on the heat when the temperature drops below 68 degrees.
Okay, simple cause and effect. Correct the deviation.
Right. It corrects an error without questioning the underlying governing values or assumptions, the setting itself. Professionals, often operating in their area of expertise, are frequently very good at single-loop learning. They've excelled at applying their disciplines to solve known problems effectively and efficiently.
They're great at fixing things based on the current rules.
Precisely. Double-loop learning, however, is when that thermostat pauses and asks, why am I set at 68 degrees?
Questioning the rule itself.
Yes. It then explores if another temperature might be more economical, more comfortable, or more appropriate given a broader context. This requires looking inward, challenging deeply held assumptions, and fundamentally changing the master program in one's head, the underlying cognitive rules that govern our behavior.
It's about questioning the very goals and values behind our actions, not just if we're doing things right, but if we're doing the right things.
Exactly. And here's where we hit the real irony of success, something Argyris meticulously documented.
The irony of success.
Because many of these professionals are almost always successful at what they do, they rarely experience failure. Think about it. They've excelled in school. In their early careers, they've been promoted.
They're used to winning.
They are. And because they rarely fail, they've effectively never learned how to learn from failure.
Ouch. That lack of practice hurts when they finally hit a wall.
It does. So when their single-loop strategies do eventually go wrong, when they face a truly novel or intractable problem that doesn't respond to their usual methods, they often react by becoming intensely defensive, screen out criticism, and put the blame on anyone and everyone but themselves.
The blame game starts. It's not me, it's you or the situation.
Right. Their ability to learn shuts down precisely at the moment they need it the most. It's a profound psychological block, almost a self-sabotaging mechanism, born not from incompetence, but from an unfamiliarity with failure.
This defensive behavior is precisely why Argyris argues against the common assumption that learning is purely a matter of motivation.
Right. It's not just about wanting to learn.
Exactly. Companies often try to incentivize learning with clever compensation programs or updated performance reviews, but effective double-loop learning is not simply a function of how people feel. It is a reflection of how they think, their deep-seated cognitive rules or reasoning. That master program you mentioned.
Precisely. It's not about willingness. It's about deeply ingrained mental models.
Argyris further distinguishes between what people say they do and what they actually do, using the terms espouse theory and theory in use.
Espouse theory versus theory in use. What I say versus what I do.
Spot on. An espouse theory is the set of rules individuals say they use to govern their actions, for example. A consultant might genuinely claim to believe in continuous improvement and open feedback.
Sounds great. We all say things like that.
But their theory in use is what actually explains their observed behavior, which, as Argyris found, often directly contradicts their stated beliefs. People, in his words, consistently act inconsistently, unaware of the contradiction.
Acting inconsistently and not even realizing it. That's a big blind spot.
It is, and most of these theories in use are built upon a foundation of 4 universal, profoundly defensive values. Think of it like an unconscious internal lawyer, always ready to defend your ego and competence.
Our internal defense attorney. Okay, what are the values?
These values are designed to avoid embarrassment or threat, feeling vulnerable or incompetent at all costs. First, to remain in unilateral control.
Stay in charge.
Second, to maximize winning and minimize losing.
Win at all costs.
Third, to suppress negative feelings.
Don't show weakness, don't feel bad.
And fourth, to be as rational as possible, which often means defining clear objectives and evaluating behavior solely by achievement, ignoring the messier human stuff.
Control, win, suppress feelings, be rational. It sounds pretty defensive.
It is. This defensive reasoning creates a closed loop, a remarkably self-sealing system that is impervious to conflicting points of view. When defensiveness is observed, the response is often yet more defensive reasoning, deflecting blame by, for example, blaming sensitive clients or weak managers for any perceived shortcomings.
The loop just reinforces itself. It's hard to break out.
Very. What's particularly striking is how professionals are uniquely susceptible to this dynamic. Argyris observed that their very success in education and early career often explains their problems with learning later on.
Their success becomes a liability for learning.
In a way, yes. Their lives, filled with accolades and achievement, have meant they rarely experience the embarrassment and sense of threat that comes with failure, thus reinforcing this defensive reasoning. They effectively end up not knowing how to deal with it effectively when it does happen.
They lack the failure muscle.
Good way to put it. Furthermore, many professionals are driven by an unrealistically high ideal of performance, that internal voice that says, I must not only do a good job, I must also be the best. This sets them up for a high fear of failure and a propensity to feel shame and guilt when they do fail to meet their high standards.
The perfectionist trap leads to intense fear of failure.
Exactly. This often results in what Argyris vividly calls the doom loop and doom zoom.
Doom loop and doom zoom. Sounds ominous.
It is. When these professionals, who are so accustomed to success, don't perform perfectly or receive the expected accolades, they can rapidly zoom into a doom loop of despair. This results in what he describes as brittle personalities. They literally fall apart when faced with situations they can't immediately handle.
Brittle. Easily broken under pressure.
Yes, often resorting to bad-mouthing clients or blaming external factors to cover their distress and maintain their self-image. This potent cocktail of despondency combined with ingrained defensive reasoning creates a formidable predisposition against the very double-loop learning that is essential for true growth and adaptation.
It's a tragic cycle where their strengths ironically become their weaknesses.
And it gets even more pointed. Performance evaluations are almost tailor-made to push a professional into the doom loop.
Why performance evaluations specifically?
Because they necessitate measuring one's behavior against formal standards, inherently creating a situation of potential judgment and therefore potential failure or embarrassment.
The spotlight is on, and they might not measure up.
Exactly. Argyris gives a compelling example from a consulting company. A new, more objective evaluation process was implemented. This initially led to significant dissatisfaction after the first round of unsatisfactory ratings resulted in 6 dismissals.
Okay, real consequences. How did people react?
The professionals reacted with confusion and anxiety, but quickly escalated to angrily claiming the process was unfair, subjective, biased, or based on unclear criteria. Standard defensive reactions. Blame the process.
Right.
They also blamed the dismissals on economic reasons, or accused the company of being anti-learning because an up or out policy was, in their view, inconsistent with genuine development. You misled us, they claimed.
Deflecting and accusing. The doom loop in action.
Precisely. The CEO of this consulting firm attempted to explain management's decision with facts, even inviting contradictory evidence. But the professionals, caught in their defensive reasoning, simply repeated their accusations, often employing circular logic and at times even contradicting their own claims.
Circular logic, like what?
For example, they demanded clear, objective data for their evaluations, but couldn't provide any data whatsoever for their own accusations of unfairness.
Demanding evidence while providing none. Classic.
This led to what Argyris termed an unproductive parallel conversation. Both sides were being candid, yet they were talked past each other, completely unable to truly engage. This profound disconnect brought any real learning and progress to a grinding halt.
Just stuck.
Ah,
A vivid illustration of how deeply ingrained defensive reasoning can be and how it can cripple organizational effectiveness. Hashtag tag 4.3, managers owned coaching blind spots. And it's not just the professionals being coached who exhibit this kind of resistance to learning, is it?
oh no, absolutely not. Managers themselves, often the ones tasked with coaching, frequently have their own significant blind spots.
The coaches need coaching too.
Often, yes. For leaders who have been accustomed to tackling performance problems by telling people what to do, a very common and often rewarded leadership style, a coaching approach, which is inherently more facilitative, often feels too soft.
Not directive enough for them. Feels weak, maybe.
Exactly. It can make them psychologically uncomfortable because it effectively deprives them of their most familiar management tool, asserting their authority. It takes away their power tool.
So they resist it.
Yes, they often dismiss it with ready excuses like, I'm too busy, I don't have time for all this soft skill stuff, or the people I'm saddled with simply aren't coachable anyway. It's a powerful, self-reinforcing bias.
Blame time, blame the people, more defensive reasoning.
Precisely. What's even more troubling is that even if they're fundamentally unenthusiastic about coaching, most think they're pretty good at it.
Nah, the Dunning-Kruger effect in coaching.
Pretty much. This, however, is often far from the truth. One study, for example, found that a staggering 24% of executives significantly overestimated their abilities. A quarter of them,
Yeah.
yes, rating themselves as above average, while their very own colleagues, those observing them, rank them in the bottom third.
Wow. That's a big gap between perception and reality.
It's a telling mismatch, indicating that many managers are a good deal worse than you imagined when it comes to their coaching skills. This kind of pervasive self-deception clearly becomes a formidable impediment to their own growth and their ability to effectively coach others.
If you think you're already good, why would you try to improve?
Exactly. And this overestimation often leads directly to what's known as the tell and sell syndrome.
Okay, Lynn Sell, what's that?
In role-playing scenarios designed to simulate coaching conversations, even when 9 out of 10 executives genuinely expressed a desire to help their direct reports.
So good intentions.
Right. They typically entered these conversations with their minds already made up about the right way forward.
They already knew the answer before they started talking.
Yes. Their subsequent coaching then became less about discovery and more about subtly attempting to get agreement on their predetermined solutions, often by asking what we call leading questions that invariably make the direct report defensive.
Don't you think you should kind of questions.
Exactly those. The unfortunate result: no one has learned anything about the situation or themselves. It's a frustrating and unproductive cycle that actively prevents true learning, genuine development, and meaningful insight for both parties.
So how do we effectively break this pervasive cycle of defensive reasoning and this tell and sell syndrome? How do we actually build coaching as both a crucial individual skill and, maybe more importantly, a powerful organizational capacity?
That's the critical next step. A foundational, practical tool for individual coaching, devised by Sir John Whitmore again, is the GROW model.
GROW, okay, another helpful acronym.
Yes, GROW. It's a simple 4-step framework specifically designed for non-directive coaching. Conceptually, it's remarkably easy to grasp.
Sounds good so far.
Yet putting it into consistent practice is genuinely challenging because it demands a fundamentally new way of thinking about a leader's role and, crucially, where their true value lies. It's a mindset shift.
Right, let's walk through it step by step then, because applying this model can truly transform your interactions. The G stands for goal.
Goal. What do you want?
What do you want to accomplish right now? That's the key question. The first crucial step is to establish the coachee's specific objective for this particular exchange, this conversation.
Not the grand life plan, just for this chat.
Exactly, not necessarily their broader project or career goals. People often need a little help to define this clearly in conversation, as they might arrive with a diffuse sense of unease or a tangled problem.
So you help them focus.
Yes. A really effective way to start is to ask something like, what do you want when you walk out the door that you don't have right now? This helps immediately focus the discussion on a tangible outcome.
Okay, G for goal. What's R?
R is for realities.
Reality. Getting grounded.
Precisely. What are the key things we need to know right here, right now? Here, the coach's role is to ask probing questions rooted in what, when, where, and who.
The facts. Just the facts.
Right. The aim is to gently bring people down out of the clouds, away from assumptions or broad generalizations, and to focus sharply on specific, verifiable facts. This makes the conversation real and constructive.
And crucially, the research says you must avoid asking why.
Avoid why. That seems like a natural question. Why avoid it?
Because why can often demand exploration of underlying reasons and motivations rather than facts. And worse, it too often carries overtones of judgment or triggers attempts at self-justification.
It puts people on the defensive.
Exactly, both of which are fundamentally counterproductive to a coaching interaction. The true goal here is for the coachee to have that light comes on moment where they suddenly see the situation clearly.
Absolutely.
And off they go, engaging with the problem on their own with a fresh perspective, armed with facts, not justifications.
Okay, goal, reality. Next is O.
O is for options.
Options. What can you do about it?
Right. If you had a magic wand, what would you do? Coachees, particularly those stuck in that doom loop we talked about, often feel profoundly stuck.
Trapped. There's nothing I can do.
Exactly. Or, I have only one real option, which is often not a good one. The coach's vital task here is to help them think more broadly and more deeply to break free from their self-imposed constraints.
Open to the possibilities.
Yes. To genuinely broaden their perspective, a simple yet incredibly freeing question like, if you had a magic wand, what would you do? Can be surprisingly effective at sparking creative, uninhibited thought.
Takes the pressure off, lets them dream a little.
Exactly. Once new, diverse options begin to emerge, you then prompt deeper thinking by encouraging a thorough exploration of the upside, the downside, and the risks associated with each of those options.
Okay, so brainstorming first, then evaluating the options realistically.
Precisely. Moving them from brainstorming to critical evaluation.
Makes sense. Goal, reality, options. And finally, WW.
W is for will.
Will, as in what will you do, commitment.
Exactly. What will you do, and how likely are you to do it? This step is absolutely crucial for ensuring action and commitment, and it actually has two distinct parts. The first will asks, quite simply, what will you do? This encourages the coachee to clearly articulate and review their specific action plan.
Spell it out. What are the next steps?
Yes. If the plan is unclear, vague, or incomplete, the coach needs to cycle back through the earlier griot steps, perhaps revisiting reality or options, until a concrete plan emerges.
Can't commit to a fuzzy plan.
No. The second will then assesses the coachee's motivation and commitment to that plan. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is it that you will do this?
A commitment scale, that's clever.
It is. An 8 or higher typically indicates a sufficient level of motivation and commitment. If the score is 7 or less, it's a clear signal that revisiting earlier steps is needed. You need to find a solution the coachee is genuinely more likely to act on.
Because there's no point in the plan they want to execute. Find something they'll actually do. The ultimate aim, as you become proficient with Euro, is situational coaching, isn't it? Which truly represents the optimal approach.
Yes, the sweet spot.
It involves striking a fine balance between directive and non-directive styles according to the specific needs of the moment. So knowing when to use Euro and when maybe to offer direct advice.
That's right. Managers are wisely encouraged to first practice non-directive coaching extensively, using griot until it becomes almost second nature, an intuitive way of approaching problems. Only then should they consciously start balancing it with helpful, well-timed directive coaching, knowing when to offer a direct suggestion based on their experience.
Master the non-directive first, then blend.
Exactly. And remember, most workplace coaching doesn't happen in formal hour-long sessions. It occurs in brief, often spontaneous exchanges.
Everyday coaching moments.
Precisely. Simple, inquisitive questions like, what have you already thought of? Or what really matters here can become incredibly powerful everyday coaching moments that you can integrate immediately into your interactions.
Okay, so Grisaguru is a great tool for individual interactions. But what about that deeper issue of defensive reasoning we talked about? How do you tackle that systemic problem?
That's the bigger challenge. Given how deeply ingrained defensive reasoning is, as we meticulously discussed earlier, focusing solely on individuals' attitudes or simply implementing new organizational structures alone is never enough to produce real change.
You can't just change the org chart or tell people to have a better attitude.
No. The key, as Chris Argyris profoundly points out, is learning to reason productively. It's about teaching people how to reason in a new way, to fundamentally change the master programs in their heads.
Rewiring their thinking.
Yes, this involves helping individuals to identify those crucial inconsistencies between an espoused, stated, and actual in-use theories of action, helping them to courageously confront the unintended, often counterproductive consequences of their behavior, and to recognize precisely how they themselves inadvertently contribute to organizational defenses and the doom loop.
Holding up that mirror again, it's a cognitive restructuring.
It is. What's absolutely crucial here is that this profound change must start at the top.
Change starts at the top. We hear that a lot. Why is it so critical here?
Argyris was unequivocal. Until senior managers become aware of how they reason defensively and the counterproductive consequences that result, there will be little real progress. If senior leaders don't first change their own reasoning and actions, any changes made by their subordinates are highly likely to appear strange, if not actually dangerous, to those at the top.
So if the boss is still defensive, they'll misinterpret their team's attempts to be open and learn.
Precisely. It creates an unstable environment where the very acts meant to be helpful, transparent, and innovative are perceived as threatening or defensive by those who hold power, undermining the entire effort.
Got it. So leaders need to learn this first. How do they do that?
The most effective learning, therefore, happens when you directly connect to real business problems, demonstrating the powerful impact of productive reasoning on tangible performance. Make it relevant.
Show how it helps solve real issues.
Exactly. Chris Argyris suggested a remarkably simple yet profoundly effective approach. Participants produce a rudimentary case study on a real pressing business problem they currently face, a case study about their own problem. Okay? They then script a hypothetical meeting detailing precisely what they would say, how their subordinates would likely respond, and crucially, any thoughts and feelings that they would be likely to have during the meeting, but that they wouldn't express for fear they would derail the discussion.
The unspoken stuff, the hidden thoughts and feelings. That's where the theory and use hides.
It's exactly right. Imagine a CEO, let's say at a consulting company, deeply preoccupied with persistent interfunctional conflicts among his direct reports. He engaged in this very method.
Okay, so what did he discover?
Through the exercise, he made some truly eye-opening discoveries. He found that his typically diplomatic attempts at building consensus were actually perceived by his subordinates as evasive, making them wary and distrustful.
His diplomacy was backfiring.
Yes. He also realized his actions were often contradictory. For example, calling for unity while simultaneously cutting competitive budgets for different departments. Mixed messages.
Saying one thing, doing another.
Furthermore, many of his own unexpressed assumptions about the situation turned out to be completely wrong, yet his subordinates subtly picked up on what he was hiding anyway. They sensed the disconnect.
Wow. That exercise brought all those hidden dynamics, those theories and use, vividly to light. Created a foundation for genuine change.
Exactly. The payoff from this kind of deep, self-reflective exercise is truly immense. It powerfully legitimizes talking about issues that people have never been able to address before in a safe, structured environment.
Makes it okay to talk about the undiscussables.
Yes. While it can be emotional, even painful, to confront one's own defensive reasoning, for managers with courage and a genuine desire for growth, the payoff is great. Management teams begin to work more openly and more effectively, with greater options for behaving flexibly in the face of complex problems.
So it unlocks better teamwork and problem solving.
Absolutely. The tough reasoning required here is as analytical and data-driven as any exercise in strategy or finance. It transforms what might traditionally be seen as soft skills into rigorous, impactful analysis.
Tough reasoning. I like that term. It's not fluffy stuff.
Not at all. To really drive home the impact, imagine that earlier defensive consulting team meeting we discussed after this kind of productive reasoning training.
Okay, how would that conversation be different?
The consultants, rather than deflecting blame, would now demonstrate their commitment to continuous improvement by being willing to examine their own role in the problems.
Taking ownership.
They would test evaluations against objective data, questioning each other's reasoning, not as a sign of mistrust or an invasion of privacy, but as a valuable opportunity for learning.
questioning reasoning becomes a learning tool, not an attack.
Exactly. For instance, a manager might acknowledge his own role in being unable to say no to unreasonable client demands. That openness would then reward a professional for being open about, say, covered up complaints,
Creates safety for honesty.
which naturally leads to a much deeper constructive dialogue about client arrogance, internal process flaws, or market dynamics. It fundamentally shifts the entire dynamic from blame and defensiveness to collective solutions-oriented learning.
Okay, so we've covered individual tools like JRAL and the profound journey of productive reasoning. But how do you scale this? How do you make coaching an actual organizational capacity?
That's the final crucial piece. To truly transform into a genuine learning organization, companies must strategically move beyond just teaching individual managers to coach. Coaching needs to become an organizational capacity, deeply integrated into the company culture itself through nothing less than a cultural transformation. It has to be systemic, not just individual.
A full cultural transformation. That sounds like a huge undertaking. What are the steps?
The research points to 4 key steps. The first step in this comprehensive transformation is to 1, articulate the why,
Explain why we're doing this.
clearly and compellingly. Leaders must explain why coaching is genuinely valuable, both for the overall business and for individual success. This ensures it's not simply perceived as the latest HR fad or an additional burden.
Connected to the mission, to what matters.
Exactly. David Morley, then senior partner at the prestigious Allen and Overy law firm, framed coaching as maximizing 100 high-value conversations a year that would profoundly change lives. That's a tangible, relatable goal.
It resonated deeply because partners openly struggled with these kinds of crucial, often difficult interactions. Similarly, at Berkeley Partnership, a management consultancy, coaching skills significantly enhance client service. How so?
It enabled partners to dig the answer out of them, rather than always feeling compelled to provide solutions, especially for complex, ill-defined problems where the client's own insight was paramount. It made them better consultants.
So linking coaching directly to business value and core skills. Okay, step 1. Articulate the why. What's step 2?
Secondly, and perhaps most powerfully, leaders must, too, model the behavior.
Walk the talk.
They absolutely must. Leaders must embrace coaching themselves and model the behavior they want to see throughout the organization. This isn't just about giving instructions, it's leading by example. This is particularly potent in times of rapid change and business uncertainty, as employees naturally look to their leaders for cues on how to behave and adapt.
They watch what the leaders do, not just what they say.
Precisely. Satya Nadella, upon becoming CEO of Microsoft in 2014, is a prime example. He spearheaded a cultural transformation away from a command and control, fixed mindset, a culture of know-it-alls,
The know-it-all culture. Yeah, heard about that.
towards a growth mindset of learn-it-alls. He personally modeled this by soliciting thoughts from everyone, listening empathetically, and importantly, being open about their mistakes.
Admitting mistakes publicly. That takes courage at that level.
It does. His same quality of listening for top executives and first-line sellers alike built tremendous momentum and trust, causing others throughout the massive organization to naturally copy his actions. His behavior set the tone.
Powerful. Okay, articulate why, model the behavior. Step 3.
The third crucial step is to 3. Build capability throughout the organization.
Scale the training and support.
Right. While Nadella masterfully modeled the desired behavior for an organization of over 130,000 employees, the central leadership teams then had to tailor the growth mindset to the unique requirements of their individual businesses. One size wouldn't fit all.
Customize it for different parts of the business.
Exactly. Jean-Philippe Courtois, who controlled Microsoft's global sales, marketing, and operations, recognized that the specific why for his vast team was Microsoft's aggressive cloud-first strategy. Linking it back to step 1, the why. Yes. This strategy demanded that everyone from sales to operations become adept at new kinds of conversations, truly learning what they did not already know, namely how to uncover and serve unmet customer needs in a rapidly evolving market. So the coaching skills were directly tied to executing the cloud strategy.
Makes sense. How did they build the capability?
He systematically followed up Nadella's modeling with targeted workshops, tools, and an online course to develop coaching leaders, emphasizing that a people manager has a core mission to pick, grow, and motivate the best capabilities to build customer success. It was a comprehensive, targeted approach to skill building.
Okay, build the capability systemically. What's the final step?
And finally, it's absolutely essential to 4. Remove the barriers.
Get rid of the things holding people back.
Exactly. Cultural transformation isn't just about introducing new skills. It often requires the courageous elimination of systemic impediments that inadvertently reinforce old, counterproductive behaviors. Old habits die hard, especially if the system rewards them.
Like what kind of barriers?
At Microsoft, for instance, Courtois identified and then eliminated the annual January mid-year review.
Got rid of the mid-year review. That's bold.
It was. This had become a corporate theater of precision questioning, where the C-suite would grill senior managers, a format that induced intense fear and caused managers to spend over a month preparing solely to paint the best picture and meticulously hide any mistakes.
So it encouraged hiding problems, not learning.
Precisely. Eliminating this entrenched barrier sent a clear, powerful message. It made everybody understand that he meant business about fostering openness and learning.
Actions speak louder than words.
Absolutely. Similarly, at Allen and Overy, the law firm recognized that their traditional year-end appraisals and rankings were largely unproductive rituals that actively deterred open, supportive coaching conversations.
The dreaded stack ranking or similar system.
Right. They took the bold step of abandoning this system entirely, instead training partners in year-round coaching conversations with their associates, providing real-time constructive feedback.
Moving to continuous feedback instead of a big, scary annual event.
Yes. This courageous move not only significantly developed their employees, but also, unexpectedly, enhanced the leader's own skills in high-stakes client negotiations.
Better coaching skills made them better negotiators. Interesting side effect.
It led to demonstrable higher revenue and deeper client relationships. Removing those deeply ingrained barriers truly unleashes potential, demonstrating that sometimes leadership is as much about subtracting as it is about adding. #, outro.
Well, what a profound journey that's been, hasn't it? Really covered a lot of ground.
It really has.
From the undeniable necessity of moving beyond command and control leadership through powerful, actionable models like Coach and Grow, to understanding the intricate, often surprising psychology behind our inherent human resistance to true learning. Those doom loops.
Absolutely. We've seen vivid examples of how organizations like AstraZeneca, Sandoz, and Vodafone are transforming their everyday interactions into profoundly impactful coaching moments, making small changes with big results.
Yeah, those experiments were really telling.
And we've learned how world-class leaders like Satya Nadella and Jim Whitehurst aren't just managing. They're truly cultivating talent, fostering independence, and driving superior business success by actively teaching and coaching.
Indeed. The message is abundantly clear. Whether it's through customizing your instruction to individual needs, asking truly probing, insightful questions, or perhaps most powerfully, simply modeling the desired behavior yourself.
Leading by example.
Effective leadership today means wholeheartedly embracing the pivotal role of a teacher and a coach. It's not optional anymore.
Definitely not. And remember, it's not solely about outward-facing strategies or new frameworks. As Chris Argyris so brilliantly highlighted, true transformative change often starts with the most successful among us. Examining our own theories and use, courageously engaging in that tough reasoning about our ingrained behaviors, and working to break free from the self-imposed doom loop. It starts from within.
That inward look is crucial. So as you go forward from this deep dive, we encourage you, our listener, to consider this. How will you transform just one of your existing routine interactions this week into a truly impactful everyday coaching moment? Just one, to start.
Make one small change, because ultimately the sources we've explored suggest a powerful, perhaps unsettling question. If you're not actively teaching, if you're not fostering an environment where your people can truly learn and grow, are you genuinely leading your organization to its full, innovative potential in this rapidly changing world?
A thought-provoking challenge to carry into your next interaction.